Welcome to Canvas Projects, a virtual program offering from the Pflugerville Public Library. I'm Meg Miller, an Adult Services Librarian, here with another fun project geared to ages 12 and up for you to complete. Those who registered through the library calendar can pick up their material supply kits, and for everyone else watching, we hope you give these techniques a try. This month's project is some abstract line canvas. Let's get started with a look at the supplies being provided. So in our bags this month, we have a 6x8 canvas panel, so that's the thin one. About half of them are wrapped in plastic, so you may need to remove the plastic before you begin your project. We have our flat brush here. You may have gotten these before in previous canvas projects if you've done these with us before. We've got a half a sheet of some watercolor paper just for some extra testing or color mixing, because with our palette of paints for this month, we have a gold, still working through that one. We have a black, and then I went with our primary colors. So you've got red, blue, and green, yellow, and then purple, because I love purple. And those are, for the most part, our Sargent acrylics that we're working through. So your spectral yellow, your spectral red, and this is actually turquoise for the blue, and the spectral violet for the purple, and our ivory black for the black. And then we were still working through our Master's Touch liquid acrylic gold. So that is our 6th color for this month. This is going to be a really straightforward project for us, and I hope that you really enjoy and kind of find your zen in something like this. So you do get to choose whether it will be something where you've got it going kind of the horizontal or the vertical direction. I did kind of run mine as the vertical, as you can see on the display for the insert in our marketing. I'm going to just go ahead and open my paints. Additionally to what is in the kit, like I said, if you've done canvas projects with us before, you may have several of these paint brushes that you could actually just grab some extra brushes for going in between colors. If you just have the one brush, you can get yourself a little cup of water and some paper towels so you can clean your brush in between colors. So let's make sure we are in frame here. And again, this is your project, so you really get to kind of just feel the flow of it, what color that you'd like to start with. I think, going to start with purple, being a personal choice. And these are just abstract lines. So you're going to get 2 different line options with this particular brush. So it's the flat. So we can go with a wider line, just very small, or if you want something that's a little bit longer, and if you pull the brush tail, you get a little bit more of kind of an unfinished end versus very slowly and lifting the brush there. We can also, with some paint on our brush, use what would be the thin end. So if you wanted, we could have some thinner lines there and just go and really kind of letting that brush kind of swish away gives us that interesting look to the end of the line, if that's something you want to do for your project. Now we do have the color, or the extra piece of watercolor paper, and kind of what I intended for that was, so we don't have any greens, but if we remember older art classes and our color mixing, if we just get a little bit of the yellow and the blue, come there with that, and I'm going to use this brush to mix. And then I'm just going to mix those colors together on my paper, kind of trying to keep it piled up so I don't basically just paint this paper till I get that green color that I want. Also, if you've got other acrylic paints in your personal stash, you can definitely bring multiple colors into this, things that you would have kind of around if you were interested, and really just expand what it is. As this project was designed, there is no rhyme or reason to these lines. They are very abstract, so you don't have to worry about your placement. Don't think too hard about it. Don't stress about it. And we can really just start to fill our canvas. Now, another color I don't have in this particular palette is orange. So I'm going to get some of my yellow here, put that back in. I have another brush and we're going to go with our red. And I'm just going to try and make myself kind of an orangey color here. That was not enough yellow, but I can just add. And I don't want to get this brush, since it's only got the yellow on it, into that pile of paint. But if I can get a little dollop there, oh, there we go. Now we're starting to get a little bit more of an orangey color to that. Make sure that's well mixed. You could also make it where it's not quite as well mixed, and then you get a bit of both colors into your abstract lines. I'll do a thicker one there. Come over here with the thinner one. Oh, that one didn't have quite as much paint. But no worries, if I don't like that line, I can just come right back across it. Get myself some more paint on there and get that filled in. Some of these lines are going to be where you can kind of still see the canvas through, depending on the pressure you give to your paintbrush, the amount of paint that you have on it. So with something like that, with this project is another good one where you can work on it for a little bit, set it aside, allow those paint spots to dry. And so this is one I set for yesterday. Might be a little hard to tell, but with some of my yellows, I can see through to the canvas. And I might want to make those, go over them a second coat of paint in kind of both directions so that I get a little bit more coverage on that. So that'll make it where I'm looking to really have good coverage on those. This one you can see I really went with the kind of squares and really across the board. There's a bit of some colors that kind of go in almost a similar direction or a pattern, but I wasn't too focused on that for this one. Since with this one I left two colors off. I left off my black and my gold so that I could come back once these were dry, and I could actually even, like some of these that are a little closer together, I could overlap. And then we get a little bit more of a dimension to this project. And these lines are very abstract, as the title is indicating, so no worries about the kind of coverage that you give them. That way you just really are kind of feeling with the brush and the paint and getting into the moment. Also with this black, after you did the something like this, you could maybe leave one of those colors out and do something a little less abstract. Put a monogram on top of it. If you have a particular skill set with painting some item or something, you could add that as well, where that black will really kind of show well over the other pieces. And so I'm just adding black abstractly. Yep, there, I was running out of paint. Again, I can just grab a little bit more paint, come back over, make sure I'm getting the coverage that I really want with this paintbrush. All right, I think that's good for our black. Although for our gold, I am going to need to clean off a brush because I don't have an additional one. I've still got a little yellow on that, but that should be all right. And I am using one of the brushes that came with the kit for this one so that I can get on that gold. I'm just going to get those real thin lines, and I'm going to kind of come with a lot of my colors when I'm close. Oh, that one didn't fill in. I could also try, rather than pulling with the brush, kind of dabbing with the brush. I'll get a little bit more of a feathered edge to those lines, but it might be something that works for my particular project. And I do have to remember that the blacks on this particular stage of this painting are still wet, so I don't want to get my gold brush too close to that because then I'll end up with black paint on this. Just giving the side of my other colors a little bit of that sparkle of gold. And I am finding with this gold that I'm wanting to dab a little bit more so that I get that good coverage. As I said earlier, you can always go back over if you don't like how, and so like this little guy here, he's got a little bit of a blob to the right hand side, so I am able to really just cover that with this other paint color and add that little bit of detail. Again, this is, oh, I did get some black on this brush, so I'm going to go ahead and clean that brush. As I mentioned, you can do one color, give it a day, let that dry, or even just a little bit of time, like a couple hours, and have that to where you can come back and really go back over those lines. You see on this kind of my example one, I really did a lot, and I have a lot more coverage. You could cover the entire canvas if you wanted. You could leave strategic white space around your abstract lines, something that's a lot more minimalistic than kind of what I've got here. You build the canvas project with these abstract lines that you enjoy. As always, we hope that you share your projects with us. We were able to add extra kits this month, so as we're kind of close to some holidays, if you've got visitors, we hope they might be able to pick up a kit. Some extra people who might not normally get to participate in this program with us. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to next month.